The sun rose slowly over Lagos, golden and harsh, painting the sky in fire. By 7 a.m., the streets were already alive. Horns blaring, bus conductors yelling destinations like chants, and hawkers darting between cars with trays of gala and cold water balanced on their heads. It was chaos. But for Amara, chaos was normal. She stood barefoot by the edge of Ojuelegba Bridge, her small hands clutching a faded plastic bowl. Her dress was torn at the sleeves, her hair matted from dust and sweat, and her eyes carried the kind of sadness that words couldn't describe. People passed her like wind. Businessmen in suits, students rushing to school, market women shouting for customers. Nobody looked at her twice. She was invisible. Yet every morning, Amara smiled because she had learned that tears did not feed hunger. She would whisper to herself, "Today will be better," and every day she believed it, even when it wasn't. Amara's story began 8 years ago. Her father was a taxi driver, hard-working, loving, always smelling of engine oil and pepper soup. Her mother sold fruits near the bus park, gentle and kind. Life was not perfect, but it was enough. Then one rainy night, everything changed. Her father was driving home from work when a trailer lost its brakes. They said it was quick. A loud crash, metal twisting, glass shattering. He died instantly. Her mother tried to stay strong, but grief is a silent killer. Within months, sickness took her too. Amara was only 8. She bounced between relatives, aunts who complained about her mouth to feed, uncles who saw her as a burden. Eventually, she ran away. The streets became her home, and Lagos became her battlefield. By noon, the sun was merciless. The tar on the roads shimmered like black fire. Amara moved from car to car, knocking gently on windows. "A beg, help me small. Make I chop something." Some ignored her, some hissed. A few dropped coins without looking at her face. She thanked each one, whether they gave or not. When hunger became unbearable, she sang, her voice soft but strong, floating above the city's noise. "One day, it go better, I know. One day my story go change." People slowed down to listen. A bus conductor tossed her 50 naira. "Sing again, small girl," he said, laughing. For a moment, she forgot her pain. As evening approached, Amara retreated to her usual spot under the bridge, a small corner beside a pile of old tires. She counted her earnings, 345 naira, enough for bread and sachet water. She smiled. "God, thank you for today." Around her, the world changed. The sun dipped below the buildings, the air cooled, and the smell of roasted corn filled the air. Lagos nights had their own rhythm. Generators humming, music from roadside bars, laughter and shouting blending into one endless song. Amara tore a piece of bread and whispered, "Mama, I made it another day." But deep down, she was tired. Tired of sleeping with one eye open, tired of begging, tired of being alone. Then just as she was about to curl up to rest, she noticed something unusual. A black SUV pulled up quietly near the bridge. It wasn't common to see such cars here. The engine purred smoothly, the body polished like glass. The tinted window rolled down, and a man's voice called out, "Hey, young girl, come here." Amara froze. She looked around. Maybe he was talking to someone else, but the man's eyes were fixed on her. He looked different, well-dressed, confident, maybe in his late 30s. His wristwatch shone, and his smile was warm. "Don't be afraid," he said. "Come." Amara hesitated. Lagos had taught her to fear kindness. Too many people smile before they hurt you. But something about him seemed genuine. She walked closer, clutching her bowl tightly. "Yes, sir," she said softly. He smiled wider. "What's your name?" "Amara." "Amara," he repeated slowly, as if tasting the name. "That means grace, doesn't it?" She nodded shyly. "Beautiful name, Mirainan," he said. "You shouldn't be here begging. You're too young for this life." Amara lowered her eyes. "I don't have anywhere else to go." He looked thoughtful for a moment. Then he said, "What if I told you I can help you? I run a company here in Lagos. You could work there, as a receptionist. You'll have food, Clothes, a place to sleep? Amara's heart skipped. She blinked hard, thinking maybe she heard wrong. Sir, you mean me? Yes, you, he said with a smile. You're smart, and I believe in giving people a chance. You remind me of my little sister. Her eyes filled with tears. Nobody had ever said those words to her. I believe in you, she whispered. Thank you, sir. I will work very hard, I promise. He nodded, glancing at his watch. Good, come with me. It's late already. You'll rest at my house tonight, and tomorrow I'll take you to the office. Amara hesitated again. Her instincts told her to wait, to ask questions, but hope was louder. She thought of sleeping on the hard floor again, of cold nights and hunger, and she thought of the warm bed she imagined waiting for her. She took a deep breath. Okay, sir, she said. Good girl, he smiled, opening the car door. Get in. As the SUV pulled away, Amara watched the city lights blur past. She pressed her face against the window, smiling faintly. For the first time in years, she dared to dream. She imagined herself behind a desk, wearing clean clothes, greeting people with confidence. She imagined sending money to help other kids on the street. She whispered, Mama, Papa, I'm finally going to make you proud. But as they left the busy roads of Ojuelegba and turned onto a quieter route, the noise of the city faded. The lights grew fewer. The air changed. Amara looked outside. The buildings were now sparse, the streets darker. Sir, she asked softly, your house is far? Not too far, he replied with a short smile. Just a little ahead. But this time, his voice didn't sound as warm as before. Amara's smile faded. A chill ran through her chest. Something felt wrong. But it was too late to turn back. The car glided smoothly through the busy Lagos evening. Traffic lights blinked lazily. Streetlights flickered in the distance. The hum of the city faded behind them. As the SUV rolled into quieter streets, Amara sat quietly in the passenger seat, her hands folded neatly on her lap. The leather seats felt like clouds beneath her. She had never ridden in a car this fine. She glanced at Mr. Tunda, the man who had stopped for her under the bridge. His hands rested calmly on the steering wheel, his wristwatch glinting under the dashboard light. He looked every bit the successful man he claimed to be. Composed, confident, kind. For the first time in her young life, Amara felt safe. Sir, she said timidly, thank you again for helping me. I won't disappoint you. He smiled, his eyes fixed on the road. You remind me of my younger sister, Amara. She died years ago. You even sound like her. Amara's heart softened. I'm sorry, sir. He nodded. Life can be cruel sometimes, but that's why I try to help people when I can. God blesses us to bless others. Amara looked at him with admiration. A man like this, rich, kind, generous. He was an angel in human form. Outside, the streets changed. The honking buses disappeared. The crowd thinned. Neon lights from shops turned into dim street lamps. Amara frowned a little. Sir, this side looks quiet. Yes, he said casually. My house is in a private area. I don't like noise. She nodded slowly, though her stomach felt uneasy. After a while, he spoke again. Tell me, Amara, can you read and write? Yes, sir. My father taught me before he died, and sometimes I read newspapers I find on the street. He smiled faintly. Good. You're smart. I knew it. Amara blushed. Thank you, sir, he continued. At my company, we value honesty and hard work. You'll be meeting important people, but don't be afraid I'll guide you. She nodded, her mind racing with pictures of herself in an office. Bright desk, clean clothes, air conditioning. It was a dream. But the more they drove, the darker the road became. Streetlights vanished completely now. Instead, tall grass lined the sides of the road, crickets sang in the night air. Amara's unease grew. She noticed the road was rough, unpaved. Sir, she said softly, this place looks unfinished. Mr. Tunde didn't reply. His jaw tightened slightly. She swallowed. Are we close to your house? Yes, he said curtly. Just a few more minutes. The warmth in his voice was gone. Amara's chest tightened. Something was wrong. They turned a sharp corner. Ahead was a large compound surrounded by a half-built fence. A signboard leaned against the wall. Property under construction. Keep out. Amara blinked. Sir, is this your house? Mr. Tunde parked the car and smiled faintly. Yes, I'm still renovating. You'll be safe here for the night. He opened his door and stepped out. His tone was calm, too calm. Amara hesitated but followed, clutching her small nylon bag as she stepped out, her eyes adjusted to the dim light. The place was almost empty, just piles of cement, rusty rods, and an uncompleted building in the middle. Then she noticed something else. 3 men standing by a pickup truck nearby. They were rough-looking, muscular, wearing dark clothes. One had a cigarette in his mouth. Another had a scar running across his cheek. Her heart started to pound. One of them laughed when he saw her. Oga, now this small one. Yes, Mr. Tun said flatly. Make it quick, I don't want noise. Amara froze. Sir, what did he mean? Tunde turned to her slowly, his smile gone completely. His eyes were cold. Amara, he said, you're a lucky girl. Her throat went dry. Sir? He stepped closer. Your body will save rich lives tonight. She blinked, confused. What are you saying? He leaned down, his face inches from hers. Your organs are worth more than your life on the street. Then he snapped his fingers. Grab her. The men lunged at her. Amara screamed, twisting away. One grabbed her arm, another pulled her hair. Hold her down! No, leave me! She cried, kicking wildly. But they were stronger. They pinned her to the ground, her heart hammering in her chest. Bring the bag, one shouted. Tie her legs. Amara's mind raced. Her uncle's voice echoed in her memory. Never let the world break you. Fight back. She saw the flash of a knife in one man's hand. Her eyes widened. She couldn't die here. With a sudden burst of strength, she twisted her arm free and slammed her elbow into his throat. He coughed violently and fell backward. She rolled to her feet, spinning toward the next man. He reached for her, but she ducked low and kicked his knee. Hard. He screamed, collapsing. The third man came from behind, swinging a rod. It grazed her shoulder, sending a jolt of pain through her body. She turned, grabbed his wrist, and slammed his hand against the wall until the rod dropped. She picked it up. Her grip tightened. Tunde shouted, Stop her! Don't let her escape! But Amara's eyes were blazing now, fierce and alive. She swung the rod across the man's face. Blood splattered. The others stumbled back. Amara didn't wait. She sprinted toward the SUV. Catch her! Tunde screamed. But before they could move, she jumped into the car, slammed the door, and turned the key. The engine roared to life. She pressed the accelerator, and the car shot forward, smashing through the weak wooden gate. Dust filled the air. Tunde ran after the car, shouting, You'll regret this, girl! You can't run forever! But she was gone, swallowed by the night, the SUV speeding down the lonely road. Her hands trembled on the steering wheel. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Her heart was racing faster than the car itself. She looked into the rearview mirror. No one behind her. Her breathing was sharp and uneven. She whispered, God, what just happened? She could still see Tunde's face in her mind, the fake kindness, the evil beneath his smile. Her body ached, but she kept driving. She didn't know where she was going. All she knew was that she needed to live. The road stretched endlessly ahead, dark, quiet, lonely. She kept glancing at the fuel gauge, at the empty streets, praying she'd find someone, anyone who could help. In the distance, faint lights blinked. A checkpoint. Relief washed over her. Police, she whispered, exhaling shakily. Thank God. She slowed down, blinking her headlights to show she was stopping. 4 men stood at the checkpoint, all in police uniforms. One of them waved her down with a torchlight. Stop there, stop! Amara stopped, quickly wiping her tears. Thank you, God, she whispered again. The man approached the car, torchlight shining into her face. Good evening, officer, she said, her voice still trembling. Please help me. But the man didn't respond. He just stared at her for a long moment, his eyes sharp. Where you they come from? He finally asked, his voice thick with suspicion. Amara swallowed hard. I, I was kidnapped. They wanted to kill me. I escaped. The man tilted his head. Kidnapped? In this kind motor? He tapped the SUV with the torchlight. No rich people, they drive this kind car, oh. Amara shook her head quickly. No, sir. The man said he wanted to help me, but he lied. Please, I'm not rich. I'm just... He raised a hand, cutting her off. Madam, come down. She hesitated. But officer, I say come down. His tone changed, harsh, commanding. Amara's heart skipped. Something about the man's voice didn't feel right. She stepped out slowly. The air was cold. The other 3 men came closer, surrounding her. One of them whistled. Omo, see fine girl inside big motor. You sure say this one, no be Oga Pekin? Amara backed up slightly. Please, I swear, I'm not who you think. I don't have money. I was just trying to... Before she could finish, one of them grabbed her arm roughly. Keep quiet. Let me go, she screamed. The leader, the one with the torchlight, leaned close, his breath reeking of gin. You think say we be moo-moo? You dey drive jeep for night? You talk say you poor? I stole it, she cried desperately. They wanted to kill me. I escaped. They laughed in a loud and mocking. See story, one said. You go explain that one for station. She struggled, but 2 of them held her arms tight. Officer, please, she begged. I'm telling the truth. The man with the torchlight smirked. Officer? He dropped the torchlight, his voice darkening. Who tell you say we be police? Amara froze. Her stomach turned. He leaned closer, whispering, Welcome to our own checkpoint. Then, something hard struck the back of her head. Everything went black. When she opened her eyes, her head was pounding. The world spun around her. She tried to move but couldn't. Her wrists were tied behind her back, her ankles bound. The air smelled of cement and rust. She was lying on a cold floor. As her vision cleared, she realized she was inside another uncompleted building. She gasped. No, not again. Her body ached, her lips dry. She struggled to sit up. Around her, faint light flickered from a lantern hanging on a nail. 4 men sat nearby, laughing, drinking, and smoking. The same men from the checkpoint. One of them noticed she was awake. Oga, our Madame Don Waco. They laughed, Amara's eyes filled with tears. Please, I don't have money. The leader stood up, towering over her. He was tall, with scars on his arms, and a wicked smile. You think say we go believe that? He sneered. You dey drive car way fit by 3 of my life. You be rich pekin'. I swear I'm not, she cried. That car, it's not mine. I escaped from bad people. The man slapped her across the face. Hard. The sound echoed through the empty building. Shut up, he barked. You wouldn't lie, give me? Amara fell sideways, tasting blood on her lip. The others laughed again. Oga, make we call her people. Make them send. Ransom sharp sharp, one said. Yes, the leader said. Tomorrow morning she go call them. But if dem delay, she go learn lesson. They laughed louder. Amara's body trembled. She closed her eyes, trying to hold back tears. God? Why? She whispered. Why again? Hours passed. The men drank and joked, completely sure she was helpless. Amara stayed quiet, thinking. Her uncle's voice returned in her mind again. Use your head before you use your hands. Every enemy has a weakness. She needed to survive. But this time she couldn't just run. She had to plan. So she listened. The men complained about being broke, about how ransom jobs were getting harder. The leader bragged about how much he'd made from kidnappings before. That's when Amara got an idea. She lifted her head slowly. Please, she said weakly. They turned toward her. What do you want? The leader asked. Water, she whispered. Please. My throat is dry. He looked at her for a while, then chuckled. You want drink? No wahala. Give Am water. One of them tossed her a plastic bottle. She drank greedily, then looked up again, eyes wide with fake innocence. Please, sir, she said. I'll call my people, but I need food. I can't talk like this. I'm weak. I'll faint. The men laughed. You want chop before you call ransom? Amara forced a small smile. If I faint, who go call? Think, Am. The leader rubbed his chin, thinking. Then he grinned. She get point. Make we give her something better. We go need her alive. He pointed to one of the boys. Go buy her proper food. Rice and meat, make a fine. If she gets strength, she go call her family. Amara nodded slowly, pretending to be grateful. But inside, her mind was racing. She knew exactly what she was doing. As they waited, she studied their movements. Who carried what weapon? Who was careless? Who was drunk? Her eyes landed on a broken bottle lying near her feet. She slid her heel over it, hiding it under her leg. When the food arrived, fried rice, chicken, and malt, they untied her hands so she could eat. She smiled faintly. Thank you, she said. After you chop, you go call your papa, one mocked. Amara ate slowly. Each bite wasn't just food, it was preparation, strength, focus. When she was done, she leaned back, feigning exhaustion. Can I rest small before I call? She asked softly. The leader waved his hand. Rest, but no try anything funny. She nodded and closed her eyes. 5 minutes passed. 10. Then she whispered, Uncle, I hope you're watching me from heaven. She gripped the broken bottle behind her and waited for the right moment. The leader stood and stretched. Time, Don Reach. Wake her up. One of the men walked over and nudged her shoulder. Amara's eyes flew open. In one swift move, she slammed the jagged bottle into his neck. Blood gushed. He screamed and fell. What the hell? Before the others could react, she kicked the lantern, plunging the room into darkness. Chaos erupted. She ducked low, grabbed a metal rod from the floor, and swung it hard. Another man went down. Gunshots exploded, but missed. She darted toward the half-broken wall and squeezed through. Bullets whizzed past as she ran into the night. Her lungs burned. Her bare feet tore on stones, but she didn't stop. She was free again. But her nightmare wasn't over. Not yet. The night air stung Amara's skin as she ran barefoot through the rough streets of Lagos outskirts. The sounds of the city had faded. No more traffic, no more voices. Only her heartbeat and the echo of her footsteps against the gravel road. She didn't know where she was. Somewhere deep in the city's shadows. That part of Lagos where even hope refused to sleep. Her legs trembled, her body bruised, but her mind stayed alert. She couldn't stop now. Not after escaping death. Twice. She slowed, hiding behind a rusted bus parked near a half-finished structure. Her chest rose and fell in rapid rhythm. Her thoughts raced. Where do I go? Who will believe me? How do I explain? Tears welled in her eyes, but she forced them back. Amara, cry later now. Survive, she whispered. She could still hear faint shouting behind her, the kidnappers realizing she'd escaped again. She moved fast, ducking through narrow paths past old shanties, stray dogs, and flickering streetlights. Finally, she saw the main road, a glimmer of hope. She walked toward it slowly, limping. Then, the sound of an engine, a motorbike approached, slowing beside her. Madam, you dey okay? The rider asked, his voice rough but curious. Amara froze. Please help me, I need to get to a police station. The man squinted, confused. This time of night? For here? She nodded frantically. Please, I was kidnapped. The man frowned, then pointed down the road. You fit fine police for there. Na expressway side. Thank you, she breathed. He rode off and she started walking again. This time faster, limping through the silence. After several minutes, she saw another checkpoint ahead. Real police this time, she prayed. Blue light flickered faintly from their patrol van. The reflective vest glowed under the weak streetlight. Amara's heart lifted a little. Thank you, God, she whispered. She waved her hands as she approached. Officer, please help me. One of them raised his torchlight. Stop there, she did, breathing hard. Please, I was kidnapped. They wanted to kill me. I escaped. The man stepped closer, eyes scanning her torn clothes and bruised face. Kidnapped? He repeated slowly. Yes, please. I need help. I can explain. He nodded slowly, then called to the others. Come see this one, oh. 2 more men came out of the shadows, all in police gear, boots, belts, rifles. Madam, the first one said, you're safe now. Don't worry. We go protect you. Relief washed over her. She almost cried. Thank you, officer. Thank you so much. They led her toward the patrol van, but something felt off. Their uniforms looked worn out, not quite standard. Their police tag hung loosely, like it had been pinned in a hurry. She ignored the feeling. Maybe they were from a local task force, she thought. At least they were police. At least she wasn't alone. They opened the van door. Enter inside, one said. Amara hesitated. Where are we going? To the station, the leader said. You go talk your story there. She climbed in slowly. The van smelled of sweat and old fuel. They drove in silence. But after several turns, she realized they weren't heading toward the express road anymore. Instead, they entered a narrow, dusty lane, the kind that led nowhere. Officer, this is not the road to the station, she said softly. No one answered. Her pulse quickened. Officer? The driver finally spoke, voice cold. You too like talk. That was when she knew. She was in trouble. Again. The van stopped abruptly in front of an uncompleted building. Her stomach dropped. Not again. Get down, the leader ordered. Amara's hands shook. Please, no. He cocked his rifle. I say get down. She obeyed slowly. Her legs were weak. Two of the men grabbed her arms and dragged her inside the dark building. They threw her to the ground, laughing. Amara looked up at them, her face streaked with tears and dust. I told you. I'm not who you think. The leader leaned close, grinning. We hear that one before. You go call your papa for money. Maybe you want, make we cut one of your fingers first? They laughed again. Her mind spun. She'd been here before. This same kind of fear, this same dark place. But this time she wouldn't break. She knew their type now. She knew how they thought. She would play along. Again. Amara lowered her head. Okay, I'll call. The leader smirked. Better. You sabi sense. After you finish, you go make the call. The leader warned. Yes, sir, she said softly. She wiped her mouth and smiled faintly. Thank you. He laughed. You fit smile. You get mine, dough. Only when I know I'll survive, she murmured under her breath. He frowned. When you talk? Nothing, she said quickly. Minutes passed. The men relaxed, drinking gin and joking among themselves. They thought they'd broken her spirit, but Amara's eyes were sharp. She saw one of them drop his phone on a cement block. Another left his knife on the floor near the lantern. She waited for the moment, then she coughed and leaned forward. Please, can I call now? The leader nodded. Go ahead. She picked up the phone, pretending to dial. Then suddenly, she swung her elbow hard into the man's throat beside her. He gasped, choking. Before the others could react, she grabbed the knife and slashed the rope binding her feet. Shoot her! Someone shouted. She kicked the lantern. Darkness again. Screams filled the building. Amara moved like lightning, kicking one in the stomach, slamming another's head against a wall. Gunshots rang out wildly, sparks flying as bullets hit metal. She ducked low, rolled, and grabbed the dropped phone. She could hear the leader shouting, Catch her! Don't let her! But she was already gone. She ran into the street, barefoot and bleeding, her heart pounding like thunder. Behind her, chaos. In front of her, the open road. She didn't stop running until she saw lights. Real police lights this time. A real checkpoint, this one buzzing with activity and real officers. She dropped to her knees, gasping. Help me, she cried. Please, help me. The officers rushed to her, confusion on their faces. And for the first time in her life, Amara knew. She was truly safe, or so she hoped. The rise of the fighter dawn broke over Lagos like a promise. Orange light creeping through the mist, the sound of distant buses warming up, and the echo of a city ready to start again. But for Amara, that morning felt different. She sat on the steps outside the police station, wrapped in a thin blanket. Her hair was messy, her face bruised, and her clothes torn. But her eyes, those eyes, were alive. The real police had rescued her just hours ago. They'd listened to her trembling story in disbelief. 3 fake policemen arrested, 2 kidnappers caught near Ikeja, and 1 man, Richard, still on the run. But she didn't care about him anymore. For the first time in her life, she wasn't running. She was breathing freely, The officer who handled her case, Inspector Tunde, walked over with a cup of tea. "Here," he said gently. "Drink. You need strength." Amara smiled faintly. "Thank you, sir." He watched her sip slowly, then asked, "You say you be orphan, Abi?" She nodded. He sighed. "This city wicked, but you strong pass wet and I don't see before." Amara looked at him, her voice low. "Sir, I don't even know why I'm still alive." Tunda smiled. "Maybe God still get plan for you." She looked away, her mind drifting. God's plan, she thought maybe. All her life she'd fought to stay alive. On the streets, in alleys, against hunger, against monsters in human form. But maybe survival wasn't enough anymore. Maybe it was time to live. Weeks passed. The police arranged a shelter for her, a small, safe home in Surulere, run by a local NGO. They gave her counseling, food, clothes, and a quiet room where she could finally sleep without fear. At first, the silence felt strange. She'd grown used to the noise of Lagos nights, shouting, horns, sirens. Now she lay on a soft bed, staring at the ceiling, whispering to herself, "You made it, Amara. You're still here." Every morning she stood by the window, watching the busy streets below. School children laughing, workers rushing, hawkers calling out their goods. She wanted to be part of that world again, not as a beggar, not as a victim, but as someone who mattered. One day the NGO invited her to share her story during a small outreach event for street kids. She almost refused. Talking about it felt too painful, but something inside her said yes. So she stood before a small crowd of children, hungry, ragged, but listening. Her voice shook at first. "I know how it feels to be alone," she began, "to sleep hungry, to beg, to think nobody cares." The kids watched silently. "I begged on the streets too. I met people who smiled at me and people who wanted to hurt me. I was almost killed, twice, but I fought back and I survived." Her voice grew stronger. "If I can survive, you can too. You can fight. You can rise." The room went silent for a moment. Then claps began to echo. Tears rolled down her cheeks. For the first time, those tears weren't from fear. They were from strength. News spread about the brave girl who escaped 2 kidnappings in one night. A small Lagos blog picked up her story. Then another. Then a TV station invited her for an interview. "Amara," the host said during the broadcast, "your story has touched many hearts. What keeps you going?" She smiled gently. "Pain taught me something, that we can't choose what happens to us, but we can choose who we become after." That line went viral. Soon local businesses began offering to sponsor her education. Inspector Tunde himself helped her apply for a receptionist training program, something she'd once dreamed of before her nightmare began. And within months, Amara found herself standing inside a modern glass building. A real company, not a trap this time. She wore a crisp white shirt, her name tag pinned proudly, Amara, front desk. When she looked at her reflection in the lobby mirror, she barely recognized herself. Her scars were still there, faint reminders of her journey, but her eyes now carried light. Lagos moved around her, loud, restless, unbothered. But Amara had changed. Every time she saw a street child begging near the office, she'd stop. Sometimes she gave them food, sometimes money, but always she gave them her story. "Listen to me," she'd say softly. "Don't let this city break you. Fight. Always fight." One rainy evening, as she locked up her desk and prepared to leave, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She hesitated before answering. "Hello?" A male voice. Calm. Deep. "Amara." Her stomach dropped. She knew that voice. "Richard," she whispered. A low chuckle came from the other end. "You're alive. Impressive." Her hand trembled slightly. "What do you want?" "Nothing. Just wanted to say, you cost me a lot of money." She smirked despite her fear. "You cost yourself. You picked the wrong girl." He laughed. "You think this is over?" She took a deep breath. "No, but I'm not the same girl you met." Then she hung up. She stood still for a long time, the rain drumming against the glass doors. Fear tried to creep back in, but she smiled. She wasn't afraid anymore.